Hi, Shitangshu.
I'm Rani. Good evening. How are you
Good,
doing?
good evening. How are you? I'm good. Good. Thank you.
Well,
How's
okay.
it going? How are you liking the weather?
It's cold. It's cold. It's cold. This morning it was like it was raining, and then the night before that it was snowing. It's Toronto weather. It's crazy. So,
Yeah, the weather just
you
keeps
have to be
changing.
prepared for it. Yeah, you have to be just
Absolutely.
prepared for it. No
Absolutely.
questions asked on that. Yeah.
So today we are here again. Uh, we'll be talking about something very important.
Okay.
Last time we actually spoke about, career. We touched upon career,
Yes.
but here we will be talking about studies.
Okay.
Most of the immigrants who come here feel that it is important to kind of do a course. And why is that so? And if and when you decide to actually study further,
Mm-hmm.
in order to kind of give your career a push, what are the things that you should be keeping in mind?
Okay.
How do you arrive at that decision? Firstly, that
Okay.
a course will help you,
Okay.
and then how do you go about researching? Where do you kind of what kind of colleges do you research for?
Right.
Are there do's and don'ts in that? So
Sure.
since you have done this, again, you are the best person to kind of guide a whole lot of people who will be coming and who are here, and perhaps wondering if a certain course would really help them.
Sure. So, okay. So let me just put it this way. Let me start with how did I arrive at the decision to study first? So, couple of reasons which immediately come to my mind is the foremost being at what stage of career you are at. Whether you are a beginner, you have just graduated out of college, or are you an experienced professional, or are you a professional who is at a senior level or at a director level. So you must see at what stage of career you are at. And second thing is um, at what age you are. Again, that ties up with my earlier point as to at what stage of life you are at. What are your responsibilities? Third thing, um, where are you at exactly? You're physically, what's your location? Just to give an example out here, say if you are in Toronto, there are certain industries which suits Toronto or which are, let's just say, which are promoted more than the other. Not that the other industries they are not, but it is just that one industry is preferred or it is preferred by the general public more than the other. Same thing if you're in Alberta, it could be an oil and gas industry. If you're in Toronto, it could be the banking industry, it could be the IT industry. And that brings me to my third point, where it is all about the industry that you want to work in. And last but not the least, it is your inclination to study. I think that's the most important one, because if you don't have the inclination, you might end up joining the university and waste your time, your money, those sort of things. Um, that being said, and an important research needs to happen before you arrive at that decision as well. Now, say for example, once you have gone through these questions in your mind, once you have thought through this, so my research process was, at least again based on these simple principles. So I looked at my career progression. So when I landed here in Canada, it was full blown pandemic, and I was an aerospace engineer, and my industry, aerospace industry or aeronautical industry, it was in a pretty bad shape. And when I say pretty bad shape, I'm talking people getting pushed out of the job, people getting furloughed. I'm talking like thousands and thousands of people. So they were getting furloughed, and well, that's not good for any industry. And for that matter, aerospace industry is still recovering. So that was one thing which made me think that, okay, maybe I should switch. Second thing, I looked at my age, that, okay, I have certain responsibilities and obligation towards my family, my friends, and that sort. Now, that brought me to my interest and the, let's say, the common skill set or the transferable skills that I have had in aerospace industry. So they could have been dealing with people, the soft skills, my project management skills, my basic knowledge of engineering. So, well, by the way, by qualification, I'm a mechanical engineer. I did my bachelor's and master's. And when I switched after I come in Canada, I did my master's in management analytics. That's a fancy word for data science. So, so that being said, so in the process of research, you also need to see um, what skills would be very much relevant to the industry that you're going into. So when I looked at that industry of, say, data science and IT industry, quite naturally, data science is the buzzword in the very recent times, or I would say in the last 6 years, there has been a buzzword about data science. So that made the decision a little bit easier. But even then, I took a step further and I reached out to certain industry professionals on LinkedIn and networked with them. And I understood how the industry is working, what are those things which I can bring in, um, and what are those things which I need to bridge. And that is what led me to the search for the college as well, or the university in my case. Um, so coming to the university aspect as well, the most important thing is the credibility of the credibility of the university. What are the graduation rate? Are there any support services? And I think fees is the most important thing. Will you be able to afford it or not? That being said, so your university can have a say less cost of education, but it can also have a longer duration as well, and vice versa. So you also need to see what are your career goals and how fast you wish to achieve them. The case in this point being, um, where I had applied to, say, at least 5, 6 different universities in Canada, and um, say my university was Queen's University, Smith School of Business, and I had applied for a Masters of Management Analytics. A similar course was being imparted at University of Waterloo, which is known for its IT industry. It is like the Silicon Valley out here, with offices of Google, Microsoft, and Uber and every and whatnot. It is the place if you want to be in the IT industry. So in University of Waterloo was offering a similar program, but that was for 2 years. And I think that was known as Masters of Data Science and Artificial Intelligence. But if you do a apple to apple comparison, I would I preferred the courses which were there in University of Waterloo. But then again, even Queen's University was giving those same courses, but at a shorter duration of time. And I wanted to finish up the program in a shorter duration of time. So it depends. But then again, on the other hand, University of Waterloo program was for $36,000, whereas Queen's University was for $45,000. So economically, you have to see, okay, what is making sense for you, whether it is economical, how fast you want to finish up the course. So having said this, most of the Canadian university, they have an amazing graduation support services where they offer, support in terms of finding a job, support in terms of making you connect with the industry professionals. So that is one thing which really impressed me in terms of education wise as well. Something I believe some Indian universities could actually use that thing. So that being said, what kind of information is required to study? I believe that's what you had asked me. So yeah, like I said, the graduation support, the
Can
graduation
I
rate.
can I ask you, was there
Sure.
an organization that sort of steered you into the direction of these colleges, how to kind of sieve out the best colleges that offers the course that you are wanting to study? Was there any organization that sort of helped you in this, or was it more of your learning, your research, and your decision?
Sure. So, okay, so let me take it one question at a time. So, organization wise, I would say No, there wasn't any organization per se, but then you have these support services, immigration support services or settlement organizations,
Yeah, I
where
meant
they,
that only, non-profits.
yes, exactly, you got that right. So those non-profit ones,
Mm.
and for that matter, they will not, obviously they cannot refer you to the university, and they will not explicitly tell you that, hey, you know what, this is the university that you should go for,
Mm.
but they will give you a general direction that, okay, if this is the program that you want to go through, we, the typical language would be something like, okay, we might suggest you to go for taking an additional courses or subjects which will help you enhance your career. So that sets the ball rolling, and then as an individual you start googling. So Google is always your best friend to do these sort of research. But that being said, there are few websites which I personally used. So one of them was, like, say, the study portal or the research info study, very specifically to the Canadian education system. So those are the couple of sites. Then you also need to see which universities are also recognized by WES, or the academically or organizations which accredit the universities. So WES is one of them. It is recognized across Canada and US. So that was my approach, and those were the things which, like I suggested, you also need to see the application process, the length of the application process. What are those deadlines? So again, if you go to the say the study portal website, you will get to see, what are the fees, when is the deadline, what are the course material, and in addition to that, or apart from this website search, again, I went to the LinkedIn. I tried to connect with the professors and the alumni of those universities, just to put myself in their shoes and understand that how exactly will this pan out for me. Like, say, for example, before I went to Queen's University, I reached out to some of their alumni of that very specific program, and I understood what are the courses that I'm supposed to take, what are the subjects that I really need to be wary of, how I should navigate the university life. So those were the things which I believe which helped me out in making that decision and making the switch
So this was
towards
a master's program that you did for
yes,
a year.
yes, this was a 1 year's master program.
Okay, all right. So you did name a few portals. Are there other things that one should be, aware of? What are the other things that one needs to be aware of, especially for people who, um, who've just come in, and
Mhm.
the lodging, the fooding, and all of that is of importance as well.
Yes. Okay. So A, if you are um, if you are already here in Toronto, so you would be knowing the house prices are insanely high. At least the rents have gone up in the recent times.
Mm.
So if I'm giving you a ballpark figure, as an individual, say something around $800 is like an average, like, or the bare minimum that you would end up spending for a nice place or a nice accommodation to live in. And again, websites like Facebook, Kijiji, rental.ca, those are the websites which will help you find out. But other than that, also you also need to take care of your food expenses. So being an Indian, you sometimes may want to have these, typical Indian food. So again, Toronto offers you that plethora of options in that way. But other than that, I would say that you can do your own shopping, and you have all sorts of restaurants which are there. And if you are inside the university campus, then it becomes a little bit of a different scenario. Um, just to give you an example, say if you are at University of Toronto, um, you will have these accommodations, but it will be within the city. But these are your university housings, and your typical university housing can go anywhere between $1,000 to $1,200 a month.
Okay.
Yeah, but these will be nicely, lovely furnished apartments. But then, since it is an apartment, you will have to make an advanced booking. You will have to reach out, and it is always in demand. So you will always have to be on the lookout. That way. That being said, and yeah, again, I guess I touched upon the food.
Yeah.
Um, Last but not the least, I think the most important thing is the materials that you need to study. So most of these programs, they will have the study material included in the course fees. Your exam fees, everything, all will be included into that. So I don't think you need to go outright and purchase books. But then, say if you wish to take anything extra, that will be at your own expense. But most of the times, say subscription to Udemy, subscription to LinkedIn Learning, some technical websites, or publishers like O'Reilly for that matter. All these things will be part of your standard package. I'm sorry to use the word package out here, but then again, this is an entire thing which is being offered to the students at the university. So most of this is pretty much there for a student, for them to succeed, other than their housing, lodging. Um, and yes, this brings me to my one more important point. I forgot to tell you this in the very beginning. So when I started studying in the university also, or even before that, um, certain university professionals, they had reached out to me, and let's call them counseling sessions, but then they helped me realize that it was just it was just a general casual conversation, just like you and I are having. And it helped me understand that why I want to pursue a certain program. And so always be on a lookout for those things as well. And if not, then always you can reach out to the university professors and their psychologists who are there, or the career counselors. uh, at least that helped me, and I think when they reach out to other these students, they reach out to other professionals, I believe that will help them as well.
Okay, last but not the least, students can work as well. So
Yes.
could you tell us how many hours and they are entitled to work, and also if you could briefly touch upon the finances, how easy is it to kind of loan, or are there scholarships, bursaries? If you could very briefly just touch upon those.
So earlier it was 20 hours a week for an international student. If you are a local or a permanent resident, it is 40 hours per week. But now things have changed. Even for international students, they can work 40 hours a week full time. So there's no restriction. In terms of employment opportunities, I would say it is as diverse as your imagination, and as diverse as the skill set that you wish to bring. So it can be, you can probably have a part-time job at a restaurant, you can have a part-time job at an IT company, you can have a part-time job at, I would say, at an warehouse. So that being said, obviously you have to declare your status, and you have to find out you. And again, you can go to websites like Indeed.ca. Even job postings are there on Facebook, for that matter, for a change. And again, I believe in my earlier conversation, I must have touched upon the networking aspect. So that also helps, where you have a friend of a friend, or you have an uncle's friend who would probably be able to refer you that, hey, you know what, this is where you can go and work for a part-time basis. So that's one thing. And what was your other question? I forgot.
Finances.
Finances. Um, Typically, a student life would, at least in Toronto, it would be anywhere between, I would say, $1,200 to $2,000. But it depends upon how frugal you are and how sensibly you are spending. So apart from your
No,
house.
here I wanted to know more about the bursaries side of
Okay.
and the
Okay.
scholarships, and how easy it is to how easy is it for a student to get a loan? Just those points, if you could explore a little bit.
Sure. So with respect to the educational finances, so various universities, they'll be having their scholarships. Like say, for example, you have the Aga Khan scholarship, you can apply for it. Or universities, they'll be offering their own bursaries. So that is something worth exploring when you are on the university website. But other than that, also for loans, like say, for example, I'll give my own example here. When I started studying, the fees was $45,000, and I didn't have that sort of money because it is expensive. So I reached out to a bank, all the big five banks, for education loan. Now they offered me something called as line of credit, or student line of credit to be very specific, and that will depend upon the course fees which is there. Other than that, as a permanent resident, you can also go for something called as Ontario Student Assistance Plan, or better known as OSAP. And again, the process is pretty fairly simple. You go there, register yourself, let them know what sort of program you wish to take. So it ranges from your university courses to micro courses as well. And I believe that started these micro courses loan. It started, I believe, last year, I think. Yeah, if I'm not wrong. So those are the couple of options. And again, to qualify for that, they will obviously like to see what kind of financial standing you have, whether what kind of tax papers you have. So those are the paperworks which any bank or any lending institution might want to see. So yeah. And in terms of qualification, I believe they also asked me for my IELTS score. So that was kind of surprising. On the other note, I just had a general IELTS scorecard in comparison to the academic scorecard, which is probably asked by the universities. But in this case, it worked out for me. So if you have any qualification with respect to your English language, that also helps in getting those qualifications for finances.
Wonderful. This was extremely information packed, but a very, very potent pill for any student or anybody who is wanting, wishing, contemplating a study. So, thank you so much.
Thank you for this opportunity, and
Thank you so
I
much
guess
for
I guess I was talking a lot, but then I
this is
just spoke.
exactly what I wanted. That the information from the horse's mouth. So thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you so much, and take care.
Bye.